sometimes we don't win. Don't give us a bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show, Red River sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Welcome in, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It's Thursday, the 20th of March. You're with Steve Wyss, and I'm delighted to welcome back onto Betting Weekly Live one of our men in Madrid, Ruairidh Barlow. How is it going out there in España?
Yeah, delighted to be back on, Steve. You know that these gaps are too long for me. I like tearing it up with you. But it has to be said, it's very wet, Madrid. This is the rainiest month of March Madrid has had in about 125 years. So wow. I think you might actually, for once, have better weather than me.
I have been outside today sunning myself in glorious Yorkshire. warmer than Madrid, probably. Drier than Madrid. Not often you can ever say that. Rory, I was following your pick on the Betting Weekly Insider in the Atletico Madrid against Barcelona game. It cashed with the last kick of the game, over 5.5 Barcelona shots on target. Incredible start, incredible winner for you there on that Insider newsletter. And I've got to remind everyone to subscribe to the next edition of the newsletter. Well, there's two newsletters, of course, that we've got now, but some finish there in the Barcelona game. I bet you'd written it off after about 75 minutes.
Yeah, honestly, I was at the Metropolitano, and after that second goal came in, people hadn't stopped celebrating when Lewandowski scored. So that gives you kind of an idea of just how quickly Lewandowski hit back. And if he hadn't got that goal, I think Atleti would have gone on and seen it out. But it was a really thrilling game, and for Atleti, who I think had conceded 16 goals before that in La Liga, to concede 4 in the space of 20 minutes was quite something. And of course, Lamine Yamal, Lewandowski, and Hansi Flick roll on.
Yeah, a plus money winner for you as well, Rory. Do subscribe to the newsletter if you've not already. The Betting Weekly Insider, nearly 3.5 units in profit the first week, and we've set our handicappers loose on tons of action worldwide this week again. So welcome into you all. Byron, good to see you. Dante, interesting bit of information there about the EuroLeague basketball over in Europe there. Saw you mentioning that on X yesterday, actually. Bit of interesting information. The Greeks. Belgrade could be a bit of value there. Nish, good to see you. Villa fan as well. Enigma, Philly guy, Ranjiv Singh, good to see you as well. Mate SK. Anyone in, welcome, and put your best bets in today. There's loads of action going on worldwide in different sports. We're here to talk predominantly about the Nations League soccer in Europe, the World Cup qualifying as well in South America, and we've got Nations League action with the USA against Panama, Mexico also in action. Fully aware that March Madness is getting into full swing as well. Might have some breakdowns later for you of some of the key handle and tickets of the spread later on. Some notable winners and losers yesterday. I saw this one and almost made me sick, actually, Rory. Nearly $88,000 on the Cubs money line against the Dodgers was a loser for one particular bettor yesterday. Probably waking up to quite a sore head today after that particular loss. Xavier, first half draw no bet was a loss as well in the March Madness tournament. However, Xavier went on to win that game, a big comeback against Texas. And I've got to congratulate Doug Kazarian, who was brilliant on the Monday show with his college basketball and NBA picks. He went to combined 5-0. So Doug was brilliant on Monday. And that, rounded it off superbly there. Anyway, we need to crack on, don't we, with some action in Europe. We're going to start there with the Nations League. The earliest game, there's two early games actually on the card. These kick off in about 2 hours' time. Turkey against Hungary and Armenia against Georgia. These are two-legged matches. I went through the rules and regulations today. Even I'm not entirely sure what the outcome is for some of these teams if they win and go through. But what we do know is, it's a two-legged tie. Turkey-Hungary. I'm going to start us off with a bet here. And for me, over 2.5 goals at -103 looks like a good option for this game. Turkey home games in general, pretty high scoring. They did have 2 0-0s against Wales recently in the last year or two, but 7 of their last 10 international matches have gone over 2.5 goals. Usually, Turkey fixtures are pretty wide open. If you remember the Euros, I mean, those were some of the best games to watch for a neutral. They generally like to attack, but you wouldn't trust their defence. Hungary haven't been really that strong since the Euro 2024 event. Unpredictable side on their day. They've struggled, took some big beatings actually. Netherlands, I think, did them big. Germany as well. So on a bad day, they can struggle. Recent clean sheets have only been against Bosnia and Herzegovina, who are not very good. So I think both teams probably do score in this game, but I prefer to take over 2.5 goals in case it's one of those Turkey blowouts, because I think that there's more of a motivation, Rory, in these two-legged ties that 1-0 is okay, but if you can rack up the score, it helps you out going into that second leg, doesn't it?
Yeah, and where Turkey do have their strength is offensively. Vincenzo Montella is an offensive-minded manager, so I think it makes sense to back Turkey on this, and especially against the Hungary side that, outside of Szoboszlai, really struggle for goals. I mean, as somebody who watched quite intently them Hungary play Scotland and win 1-0, they weren't much shakes in that game. So yeah, I'd have to like the Turkey on this one.
Yeah, I think the over 2.5 goals. Szoboszlai is going to be a popular bet as well. I think he will be fired up for this one to score or assist on the international stage. He's a big player for Hungary, and he sometimes does better for his nation than he does his country. Arda Güler is suspended for the game. That is correct. Soyuncu is injured for Turkey. Demiral also suspended here. Mate SK asked me that Turkey to win. I do think Turkey will win, but they can be a difficult side to trust. If things start to go wrong, they can self-destruct.
Which we saw in the Euros.
Yeah, exactly. Peter makes a good point there, Peter Chalkins. Do I think they'll sit back and defend? I don't think Hungary can really defend that well. That's the problem. So they might be forced to fight fire with fire here. I think if they just sit back and defend, they'll probably end up losing 1 or 2-0 anyway. Would they take a 1-0 defeat? Maybe they would. Not sure, but I do think there's more chance of goals here than not. The other early game at Armenia against Georgia, I don't have anything for that match. I don't know if anyone fancies anything there. Georgia are an improving nation, but this is in that particular regional rivalry. I wouldn't really want to get involved. We move now to the later kickoffs. Netherlands against Spain, and it's Ruairidh Barlow. You are one. You're based out there in Spain. You know exactly what's going on. We've actually got some international power rankings coming out on the new Betting Weekly Insider, and without revealing too much, Spain are definitely right up there. And some would argue that are they the best team in world soccer right now? Plus 125 to win the first leg here away in the Netherlands. Is that something you'd be wanting to back? What sort of shape are Spain looking like heading into this match?
Yeah, Spain are in pretty good shape. They haven't really missed too much of a beat since the Euros. They do have defensive injuries. Danny Bibian is out. He would be kind of their third choice centre back, as is Aymeric Laporte. So you're down to kind of Leno Mans. They've got Huijsenin from Bournemouth, Raul Asensio, Pau Cubarsí, obviously kind of breakout players at Real Madrid and Barcelona. I think Spain are always going to give you a chance to score a goal, but I do like the Spain side against a Netherlands team that managed by Ronald Koeman, and they've got some good defenders, they've got a couple of decent offensive players, but this is not a vintage Netherlands side in terms of quality. And if you compare the two sides on paper, I think Spain have an advantage, but also in terms of what they've been doing over the last kind of years, 18 months, Spain and Luis de la Fuente are in a much better place. I really do like Spain in this game, and particularly you look at Lamine Yamal, Dani Olmo, Pedri, the way Barcelona are running right now, it's very hard to see the Netherlands kind of getting in their way too much. My bet for this one, the one I do have on this, is both teams to score and Spain to win or draw. That's hanging around plus 150, plus 148 when I last looked. So yeah, I think Spain will come away with a result for this game and ultimately put Netherlands away in the quarterfinals at home if they don't already. In Rotterdam, it is, not Amsterdam.
Yeah, I mean, Rotterdam is this first leg. Yeah, I mean, we. It's interesting that you say both teams to score on its own is -150, and you're adding in both teams score yes, in addition to Spain to tie or win, and then it goes to +150. So that's an interesting combo there. Clearly, you like Spain here, but you don't trust the defense to keep that clean sheet. Is that the weak area?
Yeah, I think with the injuries, you don't quite know how it's going to fit together. Dani Carvajal has obviously been out for the year, and that's a key part of their defense from the Euros, going back to that. Their left backs, Cucurella and Grimaldo, can be solid, but they're also not impossible to get at. So I think there is a little bit of a weakness there. And knowing Ronald Koeman likes games to be back and forth. He likes kind of emptying out the midfield to a certain extent and making things quite high tempo. And so I think there's a chance that they catch Spain on the counter. Tijjani Reinders is very good in midfield for the Netherlands, it has to be said. But yeah, I think Spain have to be favourites for this game. And the Netherlands, you look at their form, and they haven't really beaten too many big sides in the last kind of 2, 3, 4 years. And I don't really see it happening here. But yes, I just think Spain have too much offensively.
Spain minus 0.25 would interest me here. -103, just a lean. I agree with you there. I don't really see the Netherlands winning the game. And for me, Ronald Koeman, as a manager of the Netherlands, is not really someone that I rate that highly. Nothing against him. I just think in these really tough tactical battles against the top teams, he sometimes comes up short. So
one detail to mention on that is that Spain have lost their assistant manager Pablo Amo, who's gone to, I believe it's Qatar. And what they say, I don't know, it's impossible to kind of divide credit between these coaches, but they say he was kind of one of the tactical masterminds behind their Euros. So perhaps, I think, again, Spain still have too much in this game, but I think perhaps going forward, that's something to keep an eye on as to whether Spain have that same kind of nous that they did in the Euros.
Giuseppe likes Mikitadze and Carrera score or assist in that match against Armenia. And Peter agrees with Mikitadze there. Ming Chun says Spain should have too much here. Mate SK, Spain to win. They're having nice form and also got a deep bench. That's a very, very good point. They've got options and weapons that can come off that bench. Peter's on about here. Memphis Depay is going to be starting up front for the Netherlands. Gravenberch out. Nish is going to combine both teams to score yes in this game with a Turkey match. Both teams to score yes. Joe Bammer says unders for the game. Yeah, I guess that's the question there that Byron's asking. Does Holland score in the game? We hope they do. For the sake of that pick of yours, Ruairidh, Spain or tie, and both teams score yes, +150. Coach Zanko, good to see you. At least one unit on Slovenia today. Slovakia has a lot of problems in their squad. So that's an interesting angle that we can look at there. The other game on the card here, Croatia are in action today in the Nations League against France. I had a good look at this game, and I couldn't actually find anything on it. I think the second leg might be more bettable, depending what happens here in the first leg. France nearly even money to win this match, and they are the better team. They're one of the best teams in the world. But Croatia are just one of those sides that, at home, it never feels quite right to oppose them, really. A team that have always got a lot of experience and knows how to get a result, and they're underrated technically. So I'd rather not get involved here. If I was to take anything, it would actually be under 2.5 goals. I think the first leg could be a little bit tight there, but that looks a difficult betting heat. Onto the second card there. There is that Slovakia game against Slovenia. Slovenia +260. If Slovakia are struggling, that could be worth a nibble. I mean, that to me screamed unders as well. Got to be honest with you, under 2.5 goals at -195. Kosovo, Iceland, I think is quite a tough one. Depends which version of Iceland we see. It's been quite a lot of different versions for them. Denmark, Portugal, I would certainly expect Portugal to go through over the two legs, but away from home there in Denmark isn't always the easiest, especially this time of year. Italy, Germany, I think Italy draw no bet would be quite a strong lean for me today. Germany, we know they've got injuries, especially in the attacking third area. Italy, I think maybe a slightly improving nation compared to where they were a couple of years ago. And draw no bet, I think, is a bit generous on the home team, especially as it's the first leg. That could be well worth looking at. The tie no bet, sorry, minus 109 on Italy would be a lean for me on that one there. Let's move to the other matches here. And Greece against Scotland. Rory, I've got something to say about Austria, Serbia soon. But of course, you're in here a Scottish expert as well as a Spanish expert. Greece at even money. I mean, I actually looked at the evens here, and initially I was thinking that could be a bet on Greece because they have been, we talk about improving nations, they have been an improving nation. I wanted a bit more. I wanted maybe plus 120, plus 125. Now, how does Scotland approach this game? I mean, do they think, let's get out of here with a draw, let's get out of here with a tight defeat, second leg in Scotland, we can turn things around? Who's the better nation as well? Greece or Spain? This is a really good question that I'm hoping you can provide the answers for.
It's a good question. I have two very niches in Scotland and Spain, but yeah, I think Steve Clarke, this will be vintage Steve Clarke. He will look at this as a knockout tie and think, as long as we get a point or lose by 1 goal, we're probably going to go home and try and win the game there. I think Greece, they are an improving nation. I think against England, you saw them play really, really well. I think they performed well in the Nations League in general, but they are missing their captain, Bakasetas, who's also kind of a creative hub for them in midfield. I think they've got a strong backline, Greece, as well. Siolis up on the wing. He's been doing pretty well in the Champions League. But for me, this Greece side is not necessarily going to break down the Scotland side with ease, one that might go free at the back as well. Steve Clarke, he could go back to the Tierney-Robertson partnership on the left. I think with Scotland, their strength is their midfield. Scotland have a clear weakness, which is goals. It's something that they've always struggled with in the last kind of 20 years. Well, basically my entire lifetime since Ali McCoy's retired. But Scotland are going to struggle with goals, but I think that will inform the way they play. Scott McTominay, Billy Gilmore, that is a strong midfield pairing when I think that's where Greece are probably weakest. So I think you're probably going to see a stodgy enough first leg, even if Greece will try and kind of turn the screw a little bit on Scotland. And I think Steve Clarke will try and get out with a point. That's why I'm backing a tie in this one. It's plus 225. It was listed at there. And yeah, I think these are two sides where neither can really afford to go too gung-ho in this game. And I think Steve Clarke will be happy enough with a point, which is why I think he will try and shut the game down as much as possible.
Yeah, you're betting the tie here, plus 225. I mean, this is something you've done before, Rory. You probably bet the tie more than anyone else that I know on this channel. But it has worked for you before. Dan Roebuck often asks, why do people not bet the tie more? But this is a strategy that you like to identify matches where they're going to be perhaps low scoring, tight, where both teams would accept a draw, perhaps, if offered it to a degree. I mean, Greece are now minus money to win the game, but I suppose they themselves won't necessarily hold that much fear going. They'll believe they can go to Scotland and get a result if they had to, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you say there, teams that will accept a draw, when you get to that last 20 minutes of the first leg of a knockout tie, managers generally aren't thinking about trying to win it unless the game's kind of really tilted in their favor and they think they've got a clear advantage. Generally, managers are thinking, let's not mess this up right now, and then take kind of a mental blow as well as kind of a blow in terms of the scoreline. So yeah, that's where I'm going with this. Unders again is also a good angle to take on this.
Dante says under 2 Asian goals for him in the Greece game. Rhys Williams likes both teams to score. Yes, though. Joe Bamba Pavlidis is in form to score or assist. He is the big dog in that Greek offense for sure. Mate SK says Greeks have looked solid at home in the last year. Maybe take them on a minus a quarter ball. That's where I was thinking about Mate SK heading into the game. But now they're minus money to win on the money line. I think that the quarter of a ball handicap is just too skinny, really. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from there, though. There was a good point about the corners from Mate SK as well. Denmark, Portugal. It reminds me how much of a big corner team that Denmark are under this regime. They just rack up the corners so much. It's crazy, actually. That is a very good point, and that's reminded me. And Rhys Williams there, Austria will batter Serbia tonight. He's on the money line. He's on the minus 1.5. And this is exactly what I'm on as well. This is my best bet of the day. Austria on the money line. It's actually minus 141 now to beat Serbia. And I also like Rhys Williams. I'm going to have a nibble of the handicap. I'm going to go the minus 1 Asian handicap at plus 133 the main reasoning is I think Austria are not a bad team anyway. I think they're a better nation than Serbia, full stop. But Serbia's team news is horrendous here. They've got 4 suspended players. They're pretty weak defensively, especially. Milenkovic, who's had a great season for Forest, he's out. Pavlovic as well. Mitrovic, who has been a mainstay in this Serbia team for the last decade, he's injured. Vlahovic will lead the line. There's doubts to Ilic, who's ill. Gudea as well is a doubt. So I think Serbia, I'm not saying down to the bare bones, but they are struggling a bit. And Austria should, with home advantage, get the win here. -141 on that money line. And I'm willing to go the -1 Asian. And I get why Reese is suggesting -1.5, because again, the first leg, if you are on top, it can really be in your advantage to put the tie to bed. Get a big win if you are dominant. So, it's not like, they'll take a 1-0 win. But if they can get more than that on a really favourable situation before these 4 suspended players come back, I mean, it's a great opportunity for Austria. I mean, it is the best bet of the day for me. Certainly in the European card, it would be.
And on that point, Austria, similarly, because they have such a close relationship with the Bundesliga, and Austrian Bundesliga and German Bundesliga stylistically are quite similar, you often see Austrian sides be really good at counter-attacking, which is obviously in your favour. If you take that lead, then things start to open up for you.
Yeah, I mean, I like the over goals as well here. I mean, I looked at Austria team total goals as well on their own. But Serbia, Vlahovic in the team probably got a threat, although he's not had his greatest season, has he? Byron Murrell, Austria -1.75 handicap, +290 for a hot dog. Interesting one there. That could be worth looking at. This likes the under 2.5 goals in that game, though. And someone said, Byron also says, do we not love Ireland against Bulgaria? This is where we're finishing off in the Euro Nations League here, because you've got a pick in this game. I had a feeling you might actually, Rory. I did have a feeling that you'd get involved here. I mean, just look at the goal line is at 1.5 here. The Asian goal line is knocking on the door of, I think, 1.75 for the fixture. I'll just check now. But Bulgaria are the dog here, +240. Republic of Ireland at +145. Bulgaria, I'm not entirely sure what sort of state they're really in internationally at the moment. The goal line is at 2. Over 2 goals at -103. Under 2 goals at -125. You're heading into the both teams to score market.
Yes, Byron, we do like Ireland in this game, and I think Ireland on its own as a win is a fairly kind of solid way to look at this. But I've gone Republic of Ireland to win or draw, both teams to score. No, that's +110, which is a little bit more safe. But yes, I think Ireland to get a result in this game is pretty, if not certain, then a good way to back this. And it's just about getting the value out of it after that. So yeah, I did a bit of investigating, a bit of digging, if you will, Steve, and I looked at Bulgaria, and most of their squad is locally kind of put together. It's a lot of players in the Bulgarian league. There's no real kind of stars that you can pick out in that side. If you look at their record in the goals and to your kind of reasoning with the Asian line, Bulgaria, 4 goals in their last 8 games, and I think it's 2 in their last 8 have hit both teams to score. And Ireland, similarly, 3 in their last 14 have hit both teams to score. So both teams score no, I think, is an obvious pick in this one for me. And if I'm Ireland, I'm looking at this and thinking, if we can just stop them scoring, then there's a good chance we get a result here and take that back to Ireland, back to the Emerald Isle, and we go through in this game. So yeah, both teams to score no for me. Ireland to win or draw, that's +110 when I last looked at it.
Well, yeah, and the odds might have changed here now a little bit, because you can back Bulgaria not to score a goal in this game at +132, which, that would probably be the angle here. I mean, there's someone's mentioned the 0-0 detector. It certainly is right on the cards here. I think it's one of those matches. Yeah, you've got to have that 0-0 in your pocket if you're going to be betting on this game in any sort of way. I mean, Ireland win to 0 could be worth looking at as well. I'm just trying to find, just parlaying it up here. Ireland win to 0 +210 for those who are brave. I mean, it sounds like, from what the comments that are coming in here and what you've said, that we're quite confident Ireland won't lose the game, Rory. Bulgaria in a shambles, apparently, according to Coach Zanko. The Republic are they're better than they were 2 or 3 years ago, aren't they? Let's just say that in all areas of the field.
Yeah, it feels like they've taken a step forward, and it feels like there was a little bit more positivity. I know before the England game, there was a feeling that they could perhaps get results, and I know it didn't go their way, but that was a sign of kind of beating Finland twice. And I think if you can put away sides like Finland, as they did, then Bulgaria is another side that you're probably looking at and thinking, we can beat these. And there's a bit of positivity. There's kind of a younger feel to this Irish side. So yeah, I do like them to at least get results, if not win the game. And yeah, it's about extracting value from it, as Byron and myself have given you ways to do, hopefully.
Yeah, well, we're now going to move down to North and South America. We've got the CONCACAF Nations League as well. This is USA against Panama, a match which is going to be played in California SoFi Stadium. We've got back-to-back semi-finals, actually. Mexico and Canada are facing off after this one. And then the winners meet in the final later on in the international window. And there's a third-place playoff as well. This is the match that caught my eye, though, because USA against Panama. Panama side who effectively knocked them out of the tournament last summer. So there might be an air of revenge here for Panama. Panama, I can tell you now, I've seen a fair bit of them. They are not that bad a team. They're certainly a lot more offensive than they ever used to be in international soccer. The team, for example, that qualified for the 2018 World Cup, that was a bunch of thugs, really. Cards everywhere. They actually are trying to play better soccer now. And the USA have got to be careful here because I think Panama could get a goal in them. And the bet that I'm looking at is that over 2.5 goals, -141, because I think Panama can score. But I also think USA could cover this goal line on their own. Josh Sargent's going to be starting up front because Balogun's injured. But the USA, I think their biggest threat comes from the wide players that are going to cut inside, the creative players, the likes of Timothy Weah, Christian Pulisic has had a strong season. Giovanni Reyna's in the squad, I think, for the first time in a while after injury. So I think they've got options. Brian White is the favourite there to score any time for the USA. Vancouver Whitecaps man, but we do believe Sargent's going to start. I don't think Mauricio Pochettino is going to be going with 2 strikers in this game. Panama underrated. I honestly think Panama can score here. So you could look at USA to win, both teams to score, yes, or USA win over 2.5 goals. The match, I think, does go straight to penalties after 90 minutes. That's usually the rule here in these CONCACAF games. Which I think adds more incentive. If it's a 1-1 draw with 10 minutes to go, you might as well go with it unless you're really confident about penalties. Mauricio Pochettino, I was reading some of his stuff in the build-up to this game. He's quite confident about the USA. He says they're making a lot of progress under him so far. He thinks the nation has got a great deal of potential. He actually said in about 5 or 10 years at the USA, he believes they could be the number 1 ranked team in world soccer. So
I feel like every US manager says that every 3 or 4 years, but yeah, I don't know. I was going to ask Steve: is Pochettino going to have, or is he having the effect on the US that people expected? Because I think they've had kind of a 2 or 3, 4 years where people have been a little bit disappointed with them. Do you think Pochettino is going to kind of turn them around?
Well, I think it's an interesting appointment for the USA. But I never really saw Pochettino as an international manager yet in his career. He always screamed club man to me. This is a project that obviously was too big to resist, though, leading the nation into the home World Cup. And, he's an experienced boss. He's got a lot of different tactics under his belt, and he's got to work out what he wants in that squad for next summer. The World Cup is now, 15 months away? This feels like the start of kind of the window where everyone's starting to take notice of teams. A lot of people have said, I'm starting my research for the World Cup now, sort of thing. Japan have just qualified for it, as we mentioned already. Just going through the comments here. Nisha's USA, 2 short on the money line. Mate SK likes USA win 2-0, 1 or 2-0. They played a friendly in the autumn. It was 2-0. But Panama, on the competitive stage, have been quite good against USA recently. Byron likes the USA -1 on the Asian. I do quite like that as well, actually. I think the US will win. If I had to put a score here, I'd go 3-1 the USA. Mateske says 2-0. He thinks Panama is going to play 5-4-1. I think they'll have a go here, Panama. I think they had a good go last. If they're going to have a go on the really biggest of stage last summer, in the Nations League, they might as well have a go. That's the way I see it. Pulisic plus 205. If he's that big, that is a massive price, actually, because he has been in excellent form. But yes, I think this is an intriguing game. And, the winners will play Canada or Mexico. And that final could be really quite tasty. Canada managed by Jesse Marsh these days, of course, who led them into the third place playoff game in the Copa America last summer. As we talk about now South American nations, the World Cup qualifying continues down there. 12 out of 18 matches have been completed. 3 games that we're all going to talk about here: Paraguay, Chile, Brazil, Colombia, and Peru, Bolivia. I've got quite a strong pick in the Peru game coming up. We'll talk a bit about Brazil, but Paraguay, Chile here. Rory, you've got a straight play here on the home team. You like them to deliver.
Yeah, Paraguay on the money line for me is too tempting. This is not the best Chile side. This is the worst Chile side in my lifetime, certainly. And you look at their team and the way they're going about it. I think away from home, they picked up just 1 point in these qualifiers so far. It's Eduardo Vargas and Arturo Vidal who are still leading the line in terms of attacking. So that's not a great sign given they're aging into their mid-30s and beyond. And yeah, it's a Chile side that needs a bit of a renewal, and beyond Vidal and Vargas, you kind of look at that side and there's not huge amounts of talent to kind of bank on. Whereas Paraguay, soldados de Gustavo Alfaro, the revolution he is putting in with Paraguay is quite impressive, it has to be said. I mean, they're in contention to qualify for this one. If they get the win here, I think that put them in a really, really good position to get to the World Cup. And if you look at their home record, 4 of their last 6 have been wins, including wins over Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay. That's enough for me to go and back them on the money line. -114, I think it was coming up there. But yeah, I think Paraguay are just too strong. They are missing Omar Alderete in central defense, who is a bit of a rock at the back. But yeah, I think Julio Enciso, they've got enough up front to score against this Chile side, and I don't like Chile's chances of responding to it, basically.
Yeah, I quite like Paraguay on the money line as well. That'd be quite a strong lean for me. The only thing I will say is, like, in the original World Cup qualifying, where I think 5 teams, 4 automatic and 1 made the playoff, we're in a position now where the top 7 teams can qualify for the World Cup. So whereas in the past, game would be up really for Chile, they'd be out. They're still in with a chance. They're only 4 points off Bolivia. And I just wonder how they're going to approach the game. If this was the first 5 rounds, I'd be all over the unders. This would be an underbanker for me. I think the reverse fixture was 0-0. Yeah, it was. That was 17th of November 2023. But now, do Chile think that are they feeling like they've got to go for it more? That's what concerns me. Paraguay have actually won their last 2 home games 2-1. They haven't scored many goals in this campaign, but most of their goals have come in the last 3 games. So have we seen a transformation of them? So that's why it put me off the under, actually. I was looking at an under. But that said, if I had to put a score on this game, it would be 1-0. That's traditionally how Paraguay win fixtures. And Chile have only scored 1 away goal. 1 away goal in 6. They're just absolutely toothless. Peru haven't scored an away goal yet, by the way, so it's 1 more than them. But yeah, I think Paraguay money line is a good shout there, Roy. I've got to be honest with you. We'll move on to we'll finish with Brazil, because I've got I like let's get the thing up. Peru against Bolivia here. I think Peru have got to be back today on the -1 Asian handicap. Personally, you can get close to even money on this, although there has been money coming in for Peru. It's number one. It's an absolute must-win game for them. If we look at the table, you got to beat Bolivia at home. Everyone's got to beat Bolivia at home. It's as simple as that. -143 on the -1 Asian handicap. Bolivia did famously claim that away win in Chile. It was their first away win in 67 qualifying games, I think, which is staggering. I mean, how many years that was, I'm not entirely sure. But I mean, since then they've been absolutely battered twice by. I mean, to be fair, Argentina it was one of them, and I can't remember the other team. But they're not good away from home, and they've got a massive game coming up. Bolivia at home against Uruguay in midweek. Now, Bolivia, for those who know them, their altitude is a massive advantage. They have to prioritize the home fixtures because their opponents have more chance of struggling there. And I don't want to say they're going to sack off a game against the bottom team in the table, but just knowing them, they're going to have to focus on that Uruguay game. There's a new manager in charge of Peru for this game. Oscar Ibanez he's going to immediately want to make an impact. The players might respond to him there. He is set to start with veteran striker Paulo Guerrero up front, 41 years young now. Guerrero, he is plus 165 to score at any time, but that interests me because I think he'll probably be on penalty duty, and he's been in form for his club in Peru. 3 goals in his last 3 league games. Fox in the box. I mean, this Bolivia at home. Should any starting striker be plus 165 to score against Bolivia at home? You could argue the reason that is the case is because it's minus money for under 2.5 goals. So the books are fully expecting 2 scores here, 1-0 and 2-0. Mm-hmm. That is possible. But I think Peru minus 1 Asian handicap is the bet. Is a great bet here. He could get a push, but they've got to be beating Bolivia at home, Ruairidh. Bolivia away from home, just disastrous.
You'd have to think so.
Yes.
If they don't, then the new manager might not be long for the job. But...
yeah, they've got to be doing it. Okay. Brazil then. I mean, I don't have a bet for the game here, Rory. I don't think you do have one either, but they're minus money to beat Colombia. Now, this Brazil side, I've described them during this qualifying run as the worst Brazil I've ever seen in my lifetime. However, I look at that squad now, and I look at players have improved since a year ago. You know, your likes of your Rafinhas of this world, Hendricks now in the squad, Vinicius Junior. Obviously, there's an argument he's the best player in the world. They've got at the back Marquinhos and Gabriel together. So I now look at the squad and I'm thinking, this surely they have to fire sooner rather than later. Maybe they're over that slump. Colombia have struggled a little bit more recently. Minus 130 Brazil. Would that be a good bet, do you think?
Honestly, I hate this game from a betting perspective because Colombia are real experts at spoiling things for bigger teams and for teams that want to kind of play a bit more football. And Brazil, we've shown that under Dorival Jr., they don't really have systems that work. I mean, they have moments, they have players, Rafinha, like you say, Vinicius Junior, they have players that can win you a game in a second, but we've not really seen a Brazil that breaks down teams effectively. And Colombia are going to be expert at that. I think they'll play this safe. I mean, they're in a good position in the table, ahead of Brazil in the table, so a point away for them makes perfect sense. So yeah, I think it's the sort of game where if you're in play and you're watching things unfold, if you're on the in play, that's where you can kind of get a bit more value out of this. But from a kind of pre-match perspective, I think this is almost an impossible one to call because I think unders, but then Brazil, if they get going and they go a goal ahead and Colombia have to kind of come out a little bit more, then that kind of throws your entire game into not disarray, but in a completely different game state.
Yeah, I looked at that both teams to score as well, Nish, there. Plus 115 now. John Duran is suspended, though, for Colombia, which is quite a big blow for them. I think that's a very good and sort of comment there from Byron. Brazil has match winners but no game flow, and that is definitely a great description of them in the last 2 or 3 years. They're the joint favourites to win the World Cup in 15 months' time. Yeah, and many times I have laughed at that in the last 2 years at times. I just wonder, could they have found something by then, Rory? And with Brazil, I suppose they have to be up there on the favourites because they're always going to be well backed. If you suddenly join Brazil at 16-1, that could look a joke of a price come the start of the World Cup. Peter's going to take Colombia plus 3/4 of a goal. He's going to be going against this Brazil team, which have not impressed in qualifying. But good luck, whatever you are taking there. And good luck for those betting in the basketball as well. March Madness really getting into full swing today. Just a couple of notes here that I was sent from producer Troy. Strongest public spread plays by percentage of handle. Drake +6 against Missouri. 84% of the spread in that game is on Drake +6. Houston as well, -29 against Edwardsville. Those are the two biggest handle games in terms of public spread. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of action on the basketball today. And Dan Roebuck on with Nigel tomorrow. Dan will come, will tell you what the biggest winners and losers have been. And I'm expecting to be some significant money being put down. There's loads of house specials as well in there. Every team to score at least 50 points at +460 is an interesting one there. And the live streams that you can watch today, you can watch the African World Cup qualifying. It is on all the live streams. WTA and ATP Miami. Do check out yesterday's live show that I did with Sean. Sean Calvert has still got a lot of live picks from that still to run, so you can check that one out. Premier League Darts is also on the live stream for those who like that, and do watch your inbox for Volume 2 of that Betting Weekly Insider. Subscribe to it. It's a very exciting edition. But Rory, what would be your best bet today before we go?
It's got to be Paraguay on the money line, -114. I think it's the least profitable of all my bets, but my best bet is probably that one. That looks far too appealing for me.
Yeah, a similar one with me. Austria money line at -141 to beat Serbia. That's got to be my best bet of the day. I say best of luck whatever you are taking today. Remember to gamble responsibly. Dan Roebuck is going to be on the live show with Nigel Seeley tomorrow. But until then, that is it from Betting Weekly Live.